network to connect ULEAD alumni with mentors and mentorship opportunities to inspire alumni to compete for elective positions elections in the next election cycle across the EAC partner states, and working together towards peaceful elections to avoid election-related violence and insecurity. Initiated a biannual country-by-country and regional biannual youth political leaders performance peer review mechanism for holding elected youth representatives accountable to themselves and the youth constituents they represent. Day 2, Youth in Business and Enterprise. East Africa Under 40 Business Leaders Forum. Globalization. Has globalization lost its steam? The forum was dedicated to discussions on youth and cross-border trade agreements in Africa, the EAC Common Market Protocol implementation, its successes and shortcomings in pursuit of youth-centered cross-border business facilitation in response to youth unemployment challenges through enterprise and innovation.
We need to define, as far as globalization is concerned, we as Africans, what do we have to offer?
And I think one of the key challenges I personally had was I did not think big enough, fast enough.
We need to change our mindsets about our own products.
Workshop. A number of workshops were facilitated by ULEAD consortium members. Globalization and regionalism, impact of current trends and attitudes on East African young people's business aspirations and the future of work. Bridging youth skills gap, recognition of price skills and youth labor mobility. Migrants and refugees, improving a world on the move. Artificial intelligence, machine learning and the future of work, skills of the future. Youth embracing leadership roles and inventing youth-led accountability. The status of young women in cross-border business in East Africa, enabling and hindering factors. ULEAD Innovation Hub, insights on how to move from an idea to a business. Outcome, launched the first ever East Africa Under 40 Business Leaders Forum to now be held annually. Identified and documented were a set of youth-specific policy and capacity gaps faced by youth business leaders attempting to do cross-border business within the EAC. Consensus on key interventions for creating an enabling environment for youth-led cross-border business and enterprise innovations from a youth business leader's perspective. Facilitated the formation of a network of young CEOs and entrepreneurs across the EAC. Agenda for establishing the East African Fellows Program, a young professional skills exchange program aimed at promoting labor mobility and recognition of prior acquired standardized skills in East Africa. And yes, the climax of the day was the CEO networking dinner, which cemented intergenerational business relationships between young CEOs, young political leaders, ULEAD summit partners, government representatives, and policymakers. Day 3, Post-Summit Agenda. The day was dedicated to creating a strong alumni network, the ULEAD Action Network, and the agenda of action based on the outcome of the national level pre-summit events and the summit. This resulted into a regional common agenda of action and country-specific interventions for each of the countries.
ULEAD is not here to support Museveni or Bobi Wine. ULEAD is for us to learn and say, hey, how can we make a change?
Informed by those key 4 ambitions, which are long-term, we ask ourselves, how do we get there?
The only way we can get there is being very intentional and deliberate about a post-summit agenda, strategy, and action.
Day 4 and 5, the East African Youth Parliament, Vijana Assembly. ULEAD Summit is not just an event, it's a youth leadership development program seeking to ensure the inclusion of youth voices in key regional decision-making processes and unlock youth leadership potential for a more prosperous region. That is why, as part of the immediate post-summit agenda, the representatives of delegates attended the Vijana Assembly and submitted the outcomes of ULEAD Summit 2019 to the Speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly, RT Honorable Martin Gonga. The delegates demanded that the EALA reflects youth perspective in all its legislative, representation and oversight work processes and asked for prioritizing the promotion of youth participation and empowerment as a central part of leadership development and the East Africa Youth Want.
ULEAD Summit 2019 is the Africa that we want.
And I really appreciate ULEAD Summit for giving us a platform on how we can build a collective power to create a sustainable movement that will help us create change in our society.
So I'm very, very happy to participate in ULEAD Summit 2019.
ULEAD Summit is really awesome.
ULEAD Summit Youth Power.
ULEAD Summit is empowering.
To all the ULEAD partners of 2019, thank you for your continued commitment to the YouLead ambitions. Your participation and support has enabled us to meet several of our goals for 2019. We look forward to continued success together through this collaboration as we pursue the post-summit agenda. To partner with us, contact us. Partners@youleadsummit.org, info@youleadsummit.org, www.youleadsummit.org. Follow us on all social media channels via @YouLeadSummit.
John, over to you. John, can you hear me?
Franklin? Hello, Franklin?
Yes, Moses?
Yeah, people are still logging in. Maybe you can play another video for like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Hello, Moses. Hello, everyone.
Hello, John.
Yes, I think we can have 2 more minutes for others to join so that we can start.
Okay, thank you. Let me play one more video. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
The prevailing global context has provided valuable lessons and amplified the need for visionary leadership across the globe.
COVID-19 pandemic has brought in a new challenge to the youth. I think, as we all know, youth unemployment is a major challenge that has been facing the globe over the last few years. However, during this pandemic, it wasn't.
Through it all, there's something special about the resilience of Africa's young people. The creativity, the will to overcome adversity, which is inherent in humankind, but it shines even brighter in Africa.
From the 23rd to the 27th of November, YouLead Summit will be held under the theme Development is People. This theme echoes the words of the founding father of Tanzania, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, who stated that any form of meaningful and sustainable development has to be people-centered. Since 2017, YouLead Summit has been working to unlock youth leadership potential for a prosperous East Africa and the region.
As a bank, our purpose is Uganda is our home and we drive her growth. We cannot say that as a bank we drive her growth without helping the biggest population in this country.
The overall vision of ELF is to have dignified societies across Africa. And that is exactly what YouLead was also doing, that they wanted to enhance the youth voice in the East African region.
As National Youth Council Kenya, we believe and we will continuously champion for engagements, meaningful engagement of young people, the Kenyan, the East African, and the African youth for a sustainably empowered youth.
Partnerships are very important within this youth-led space, and not only for being a young person, but within our organization, because as young people, we realize we cannot move to the next step by ourselves. We need to work together in order for us to achieve our vision, in order for us to empower each other.
Support YouLead in grassroots mobilization, grassroots convening and inventing of spaces for young people to actually have their voices amplified.
Investing in people is one of the most assured ways of realizing a country's development. We're therefore coming together this November not only to talk, but to craft practical solutions for the prosperity and development of African youth.
YouLead Summit 2020, which is convening for the 4th edition, will be a platform for the East African community, old and young, experienced and novice, to meet, interact, and discuss developmental issues without prejudice. The summit is hosted by MS Training Center for Development Cooperation and the East African Community in Arusha and is co-owned and supported by the ULEAD Consortium of state and non-state partners across all the 6 East African Community member states and beyond, in the spirit of United Nations Agenda 2030, Leaving No One Behind, and the African Union Agenda 2063, the Africa we want.
ULEAD Summit 2020 will be brought closer to you. We're making it possible for everyone to participate from anywhere. With qualified delegates, speakers, and mentors forming a limited physical audience under COVID-19 prevention standard operating procedures. The first setup will be the Regional Command Center, where sessions will be held at the EAC headquarters in Arusha, Tanzania.
Day 1 will be dedicated for the Under 40 Political Leaders Forum, Reinventing Leadership for East African Millennials. Day 2 will be the East African Youth Forum on Peace, Youth at the Center of Peace Building and Conflict Prevention. Day 3 will be the Under 40 Business Leaders Forum, Accelerating Economic Opportunities and Decent Work for Youth, which will be crowned by the Youth Enterprise Awards Gala Night Dinner. Day 4 will be the Post-Summit Agenda, and Day 5 will be the East Africa Youth Parliament, popularly known as the Vijana Assembly. These platforms will enable 10,000 delegates to participate, network, and engage in real time through audio and video chats, as well as interact with key partners and organizations supporting youth development in East Africa and beyond.
I personally look forward to the Under 40 Business Leaders Forum.
Karibuni and all the nice words to the ULEAD Summit 2020.
We therefore invite you to participate in ULEAD 20 by either applying to become a delegate or partnering with us to prepare for the summit and implement the outcomes. To apply as a delegate, simply visit www.uleadsummit.org and send in your application. To partner with us, you can contribute towards the overall budget, or you can support by adopting a booth, support a thematic day of the summit, or support a selected or nominated delegate to participate in the summit.
I personally look forward for the Political Leaders Forum Under 40.
Welcome to Youth Lead 20.
I want to welcome you all to ULEAD Summit 20. Yay!
Over to you, John.
Thank you very much, Franklin. Good afternoon, everyone from Addis Ababa. And I would like to welcome all to this session on North and Horn of Africa Youth Consultation on the African Continental Free Trade Area Youth Inclusion Accelerator Project. It is a great pleasure to have you today on this continental agenda that engage the young people. So today we are going to have 5 panelists who will be giving their remarks, followed by a plenary discussion among all the participants, because we hope to have a discussion that gives room for everyone here. Just with a few introduction on the AfCFTA. Is a continental agreement that entered into force by 1st January 2021. This with the aim of eliminating over 90% of tariff on goods and services, and also to progressively liberalize trade in services in order to promote production of all goods in Africa. So this is a great trade agreement for Africans, and it's good that today we are asking the big question on how young people can be part of this agreement, how young people can be part of its implementation, how can young people champion this continental trade for us to create the opportunities for young people and also the employment across the value chain in our continent. Without further ado, I would like to invite my colleague Moses to give an overview of the program and also an opening remark on the project that we are championing. And from there, I will take it over. Over to you, Moses.
Thank you, Brother John, for this opportunity. And thanks to you and the Nairo Youth Development for organizing this session. Moses Kanyesije, and I'm in Arusha, Tanzania, the headquarters of Youth Leadership Program, the Secretariat. And I would love to say this is a conversation. This is an interaction between the experts and the youth of Africa, specifically today, the youth from the Horn and northern part of Africa. So I'm grateful for you who are here. John has talked about CFTA being signed in 2018 and being now legally trading in 2021. Experts say this agreement brings opportunities to youth. The youth who are here, we are the majority, 60% of the population of 1.2 billion. It brings opportunity of employment. It brings opportunity of migration, of movement. It brings opportunity of exposure to Africa. It brings opportunity of removing barriers. But are we aware? Do we know these opportunities that CFTA? It's against this background that Youth Leadership Program, in collaboration with TCDC, AU, GIZ, and youth-led organization across Africa, is implementing this 2-year project. But this phase scoping study is aiming at accessing youth awareness, participation, and their perspective on Continental Free Trade Agreement. Allow me, John, as I conclude, to recognize the speakers, the panelists who have spared their time. Thank you very much. Allow me to recognize our ULEAD director who with us, Mr. Ivan Atiambi, and I recognize the ULEAD team and staff that are with us. As I end, the speakers, the panelists, this is an interaction. It's not a conference. It's not a workshop. It's you, it's us listening to youth perspectives. Let it be as interactive as it can. And let it be user-friendly. As we are collecting data as you read, we need to know the perspective. But the youth are here, you are being informed. I submit and I hand it over to you, Mr. John. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Moses, for these great insights and introduction and welcoming our panelists and the participants. So as a reminder to all, the chat room are accessible for all the participants. You can use it to introduce yourself because as we go further, we want to concentrate more on the topic. So we will not have a time to give everyone to introduce himself or herself, but the chat room can be used for you to introduce yourself, at least mention your name, your country, and any information that you want, and also use the chat box for any inquiry, questions, or suggestion as we go ahead with our presentation. Thank you, and we will move forward to our panelists. Today we are having 5 panelists. The speakers, I hope most of them are here. I would like to welcome you once again. And I would like to start with Mr. Ahmed Sheikh Abdullahi. the Director of Trade, Ministry of Commerce, Federal Government of Somalia. Mr. Ahmed, you can unmute yourself, and we hopefully, if we can see also your video, that would be also good. And the floor is all yours. Welcome, Mr. Ahmed.
Thank you very much, John. Good afternoon, all of you, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank you. Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Ahmed, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I would like to thank Africa Youth Leadership Program and the East African Community Youth Ambassadors Platform in Arusha and the Nile Youth Development Action for having me today this Continental Regional Virtual Consultative Session for North and Horn of Africa Youth. My name is Ahmed Wasame. I'm the Director of Trade, Ministry of Commerce and Federal Government of Somalia. My academic background, I am an economist. I graduated Cairo University, Egypt, Faculty of Economics and Political Science. I did my first master's in MDS Diplomatic Studies in Uganda. Now I am doing my second master's at TRAPCA, MSc International Trade Policy and Trade Law. I have also a diploma in International Trade Policy in National Board of Trade in Sweden, 6 years for different positions and different tasks and responsibilities, from trade officer, head of foreign trade, and now I'm director of trade department. And I used to play a central role of reviewing trade policy, including international trade negotiations, trade strategies, regional and international economic integration. Take advantage for supporting from foreign country and international organization that related to trade policy, trade negotiations, investment, and trade facilitation, which Somalia is part, including our regional integration, COMESA, AfCFTA, and TBS OIC. If I go beyond the introduction and come back to the topic, I would like to tell today each and every young African, young man and young woman that Agenda 2063 belongs to the youth, this generation and the next generation. Agenda 2063 not belong for President Sisi from Egypt, President Museveni from Uganda, or Paul Kagame from Rwanda, or President Buhari from Nigeria, or President Famadi from Somalia, or Dr. Abiy Ahmed from Ethiopia. It belongs to our youth, this generation and the next generation. So, therefore, it's essential that young people be involved in the negotiation phases of the agreement, policy formulation and implementation of the AfCFTA, African Continental Free Trade Area. If you go back to the statistics of the continent, 60% of the African population is under the age of 25. Despite making up a significant percentage of the continental population, young people participation in cross-border trade and trade governance matters is still very limited in Africa. So that the inclusion of young people in trade and trade governance matters will be one of the ways to achieve AfCFTA. The biggest resources that Africa has is our youth. So the question is, how can we utilize them? Are we ready to create a significant environment to perform their business areas? Africa youth are affected by high unemployment, poor quality jobs, labor market inequalities, and barriers to entry across border trade. And also, if you we see that our young generation, young men, are going to cross Mediterranean Sea to reach European countries. looking for better life. So I think we have all these challenges. We have to make sure that we should participate in the agenda of 2063. Thank you, John. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmed, for giving us your opening remark. And I quote, Agenda 2063 is belong to youth, this generation and the next generation. And this is a point that we want to leverage in. And now AfCFTA, we need to find ownership from the young people in business, young people in trade. And a person like you, Mr. Ahmed, you have experience in trade policies, regional integration and negotiation. So we know the program, the trade agreement is moving also to the country level, so that we want to see how young people can be really involved in the national implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Thank you very much. I will be moving forward to the next speaker. But as a reminder, the next speaker will be using French. And also we have a speaker also who will be using Arabic later on. I hope we'll see how translation will be functioning here. But I would like to call upon Mr. Gatien Galdes. He's a junior project management in the African Continental Free Trade Area Negotiation Unit of the African Union Commission. Mr. Gatien, the floor is yours. And give us your opening remark.
Merci, Mr. John. Déjà, je dois dire que c'est un plaisir pour moi de pouvoir prendre part à cette rencontre, en fait, qui concerne essentiellement la jeunesse sur une thématique, sur un point important qui n'est autre que celui de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine. Je suis Gatien Gidas Tamba, je suis manager de projet junior au sein de l'unité spéciale de négociation sur la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine, actuellement encore à la Commission de l'Union africaine, mais dans un futur très proche sera transféré au niveau du secrétariat de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine au niveau d'Accra au Ghana. Alors pour moi, en fait, me retrouver dans une telle rencontre, c'est une aubaine, c'est une opportunité de pouvoir échanger sur cette thématique. Pourquoi? Parce que déjà, il faut le souligner que la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine est une thématique centrale aujourd'hui dans la mesure où elle sera, ou sinon elle est la vitrine de ce que nous attendons en matière d'intégration économique sur le continent africain et devra en fait intéresser aussi bien nos aînés que la jeunesse. Malheureusement, aujourd'hui, on constate encore que le débat n'a pas encore été vraiment engagé au niveau des jeunes sur la question de la zone de libre-échange qui pourtant devrait avoir plus d'impact au sein de la jeunesse au regard bien sûr des opportunités qu'elle représente pour le continent et qu'elle offre pour la jeunesse. Et donc, je serais ravi de pouvoir interagir avec vous pendant cette réunion sur toutes les thématiques ou sur toutes les préoccupations qui, en fait, pourront me permettre de donner des précisions sur ce qui a déjà été prévu en ce qui concerne l'adhésion de la jeunesse dans ce débat, mais aussi essayer de cerner pourquoi la jeunesse jusqu'ici n'a pas encore été vraiment intéressée ou encore n'a pas encore pris la mesure de ce débat et à quel niveau en fait on peut travailler pour permettre à cette jeunesse de pouvoir elle aussi prendre le train en marche, parce qu'il faut le dire que les négociations ont commencé depuis déjà plusieurs années, mais la jeunesse n'a pas encore vraiment été impliquée dans les négociations. C'est d'ailleurs pour cela qu'au niveau du secrétariat de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine, des mesures ont été prises par le secrétaire dans l'organigramme pour permettre l'adhésion d'une unité spéciale dédiée aux femmes et aux jeunes dans le commerce et les petites et moyennes entreprises, avec une possibilité de 12 postes de responsabilité pour les jeunes qui pourront servir de relais entre les différentes zones économiques des différentes régions africaines. Et il faut aussi souligner qu'en ce qui concerne la zone de libre-échange continentale, il y a, dans le cadre de sa mise en œuvre, il a été prévu plusieurs niveaux en fait dans le processus de réalisation, et un des niveaux est le niveau national. Et à ce niveau, les chefs d'État, la conférence des chefs d'État avait admis la mise en place d'un plan stratégique pour la mise en œuvre de la zone de libre-échange, un plan stratégique national. Donc tous les États ont en fait le droit et le devoir de mettre en place une stratégie nationale de mise en œuvre de la zone de libre-échange continentale dans laquelle la jeunesse a ou pourra jouer un rôle important en matière notamment de communication, tout en se rapprochant des différentes structures de tutelle, notamment les ministères de commerce, pour pouvoir prendre la mesure du débat et des choses, des négociations en cours, et afin de proposer des préoccupations jeunes pour qu'elles puissent être aussi implémentées, donc prises en compte et implémentées dans les solutions ou encore les voies qui doivent en fait être plus tard définies en ce qui concerne la mise en œuvre. Donc voilà ce que je peux dire en introduction. J'espère tout simplement, comme disait un des intervenants, que cette rencontre nous permettra en fait d'avoir une discussion interactive qui nous permettra de cerner avec, j'ai envie de dire, beaucoup de sérieux l'importance du débat, l'importance du dossier de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine au niveau de la jeunesse, comment faire en sorte qu'elle puisse, elle aussi, dessiner des perspectives à son endroit. Voilà un peu ce que je peux dire en entrée de jeu, et j'espère revenir avec plus de détails et de précision par la suite. Merci.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gathian. Merci beaucoup. And I would like to apologize because we are not able to connect our interpreter for translating the speech of Mr. Gathian Galdes. But as we go forward, we will try to connect our interpreter so that they can lively translate our speech in different languages. Thank you very much for that great remark on the opening. And we look forward to engage and to also get the guidance from young professionals who are working on the African Union, like Gatien himself. He's young, the same age most of the participants here. And also he is knowledgeable on how AfCFTA can work for the young people across the continent. So we move forward to the next panelist, Mrs. Sawit Haile Selassie. She's the president and Association of Women in Business. But I just received a notification from her that she has an emergency and she couldn't make it in the last minute. So we will excuse her from our list today, but we hope to engage her also in the future activities even after the webinar. So I will go directly to Engineer Ibrahim Ramadan, who is a project management expert with Impact Youth Sustainability. Engineer Ibrahim, space is yours. You can give us your opening remark. Over to you.
Okay. Thank you, John, and I appreciate and thank you for your invitation. Your voice is clear now?
Yes, we can hear you well, Ibrahim.
Okay. Again, thank you for your invitation about this event. And thank you for the previous panelist. I will not take a lot of time. I will present myself first. I am Ibrahim Ramadan. I'm engineer in the Ministry of Finance in Egypt, and I have like 12 years experience in technology and management and budgeting in this sector. I am a certified project management from PMI in USA, and I am trainer in NTA and some of centers in Egypt and out of Egypt. Then let me start with I need to present some number about the agreement that you mentioned, John, before. If you imagine, this agreement will be in 55 countries, covered 1.3 billion people in these 55 countries, and with GDP 3.5 trillion US dollar. And this will be, if this agreement will be activated and go through to the country, it had the potential to lift 30 million people out of extremely profit by 2035. This is like 4 number. Did you imagine if we go through the agreement and this agreement will be published and on the ground, it will be great for the African continent. And I need to mention some specific objective of this agreement. One of the important thing of this agreement, the specific objective, it's progressively eliminate tariff and non-tariff barriers to the trade in the goods, and also cooperate on investment, and also cooperate in all trade-related areas. And one of the important things to make a lot of good things or positive thing in this agreement, the youth. We need to engagement young people. We need to engagement the expert. We need to train and to know about this agreement. If we gonna to engage the young people, the youth, I think this agreement will be go on the good point. And a lot of things or goals on this agreement. One of this general objective, it's for create a single market for goods and services, and facilitated by movement of person in order to deepen the economic integration of the African continents. Then, from my point of view or my opinion, I think the agreement it's good for the African countries, and we need all of us to engagement and encourage to meet this agreement on the agenda, and we should make a plan how can implement this this agreement. If we have a plan and a strategy, I think one of the important things, we should train and engagement the young people, and we should have a plan or a strategy how can implement this agreement. Thank you, John. I don't need to take a lot of time. This is my speech, and I'm here if anyone have a questions. It's most welcome.
Thank you very much, Engineer Ibrahim, for this great remark and opening. Particularly, you mentioned a good aspiration on the single market that we are aspire on, and with the free movement of goods and services across the region. And this is what we are hoping for, and we hope young people can be also beneficiaries of this cooperation. For us to trade in goods and services, we need to put young people in the center of this agreement. And we hope through discussion, we will find means and avenue on how we can engage more young people across the continent. I will move forward to the next speaker, Mr. Zain El Abidin. He is a member of Youth Federation of Algerian Contractors. He's also good. He's have experience in the trade in North Africa. Welcome, Mr. Zain. Is Mr. Zain with us in the room? I think we move forward a bit. Maybe Mr. Zain is facing connectivity issues, but he will join us as we go ahead with our program. So I would like to open it up for more discussion and on young people to raise the questions on how we can really be engaged in the African Continental Free Trade Area. If we have what it takes in businesses, so we need to see how this agreement function in a way that it accommodates young people, young Africans in trade and businesses. So we will open it up for a plenary discussion where our panelists will be there to answer some permanent questions that will be raised by the participants. And the participant can raise hands if they want to ask any question. And also you use the features on the Zoom, you can raise your hand so that we can see you and give you an opportunity. If you want to speak, you can also speak. So our colleague Moses will lead us through the next process on opening up for discussion and so on. Thank you very much. Over to you, Moses. Until then, in between, if we have the other panelists, I will follow up with the other panelists. We still have one panelist. If he entered the Zoom call, I might also notify you for him to give his remark. Thank you very much. Over to you, Moses.
Thank you, John, and thank you, our guests and panelists, for quick introduction. We are entering an interesting session, part of question and answer. And when I was opening, I said this would be an interaction between the youth of North and the Horn and the experts. I have a few questions I would ask, and let me start with Engineer Ibrahim. If I can start with you, just why should the youth in Africa care about CFTA? If the same question can go to Mr. Ahmed. Mr. Ahmed, why should the youth of Africa care about CFTA?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moses. The AfCFTA is a big opportunity in Africa, inclusive benefits. Women and youth are the key stakeholders in African economic development. It's easy to make. Africa's informal sector accounts for 85% of the continent's total economic activity. That shows the statistics from the World Bank. And while women accounts for 90% of the labor forces in the informal sector, they also constitute 70% of informal traders. If you go back to the context of the agreement, Article 3 promote and attain sustainable and inclusive socio-economic development, gender equality, and structural transformation of the state parties. And Article 27 of the protocol to surfaces says state parties are mandated to improve the export capacity for both formal and informal service suppliers, especially micro, small, medium-sized enterprises, women and youth service suppliers. Therefore, AfCFTA should care of youth because you are the main stakeholder in the agreement. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Ahmed, Mr. Ahmed, for highlighting why the youth in Africa should care about CFTA. I don't know whether Engineer Ibrahim can hear me. If you can hear me, you can raise your hand. And I just dedicate this question to you shortly. All right. As I come for another question, there will be a poll question that our administrator, my colleague, will be launching. While we are in this discussion, he will pose these questions and you will answer. Then at the end of the day, at the end of this session, we will have the results. If you see on your screen, you can see these are questions. They are very summarized. You just click, you answer, then at the end, you will answer and we will have the results. If you get any challenge in answering, just raise your hand. So let's, as we move to other question, let's go to interactions. Let it be an interaction. You can raise your hand and ask a question. Just there is this provision. You just click on it. You raise your hand. If you want to direct it to anyone, then it will be answered to you. Can I see the hands? Can I see the hands?
Moses, I'm here. If I'm Ibrahim, if any questions, I'm here.
Okay, Engineer Ibrahim, thank you. Let me give you a question. What mechanisms are in place to ensure that youth voices are part of the CFTA negotiation and implementation processes? And how can youth perspectives be vital in the successful implementation of CFTA?
Okay, Moses. It's a great question, by the way.
Sorry?
It is a great question, by the way.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
All right.
First of all, the young people, it's very important to engagement, as I mentioned in the agreement to implement. And as Mr. Ahmed mentioned, in the agreement, Article 27 and Section Technical Assessment and Capacity Building and Cooperation, one of very important goals, it's improving the export capacity of both formal and informal services supplier, with a particular attention to macros, small and medium size, women and youth services suppliers. This is the very important view or in this article of this agreement. Then to the young people engagement very successfully and in a positive way. One of important thing, we should announce and each one in the African known this agreement, because a lot of young people didn't hear before about this agreement. And as all of us know, that the African continent, it's the biggest continent in the world, have a young people. Then the young people, it's an arm for succeed this agreement. The first thing, it should be make like training or something like that, should be discussing in the article of this agreement with the young people, because the young people have a knowledge or have an information. It should be clear for the young people. Then I think the young people, it will be an effective factor in this agreement. That's all.
Thank you, Engineer Ibrahim. Let's go to question and answer and interaction session from participants. If you have a question you want to answer, you want to ask to our panelists, our guests, just open, there is a provision, you click and you raise your hand. I can see Mr. Ahmed raising your hand. Please, you can go on.
Yeah, thank you, Moses. I would like to add more the question that you have asked my friend, Engineer Ibrahim. What about the mechanism are in place to ensure that the youth forces be part of the AfCFTA negotiation? I think as the young people are the main stakeholders of the agreement, they should be consulted at every stage of the agreement, including negotiation phase and the implementation process. Youth also has an important role in holding government and policymakers accountable. This is important as regards the implementation of the AfCFTA and the monitoring of national trade policies and national strategies. Therefore, I would like to say African Union should create a platform for youth participation at the continental level. Similar platforms also are required at both regional and national level to facilitate active and meaningful participation of our youth in trade governance. Thank you. Thank you, Moses.
Thank you, Ahmed, for adding voice on what Mr. Engineer Ibrahim had mentioned. I see a hand from Ibrahim Hassan Mohammed. The floor, you can ask your question. 2 minutes.
Yeah, and thank you, and the organizers, and also in the panel. I have to one comment and regarding on the situation of youth and perspective in our continent, and also a question and which might be tackling to the panels and also and the youth in general. What I would like to add in a comment is that in the continent of Africa that we narrated, and that is where we born in our ancestors, and again the way and the way we raised. It's really a factor that influence mostly in the youth in the continent, who are being based in terms of the bad names mostly, which even an issue created by youth in themselves, because of lack of opportunity sharing, lack of the long-staying leadership that has been associated only in Africa. Then those lack of youth in awareness, practical engagement, which is in place. So it might be also needed that in a way that we can tackle. So, and I would also like to ask for the banners, is there a way or a strategic mechanism and which they put in place to strengthen and also choosing and what kind of youth do we need to raise as an African? How can we just and which mechanism or how can we use to raise and make Africa a tangible change that can be an example to the entire youth in other country of other world, so that how Africa could be a place that has been changed in the current youth in 20th century. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hassan Mohammed. As panelists get prepared to get back to you, let's also hear, I can say hand from Abdallah Nasser Ibrahim. The floor is yours, or the IFRO. Abdallah Nasser Ibrahim, you can hear me? Someone can unmute Abdallah Nasser Ibrahim.
Hello, everyone.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I am Abdul Nasser Ibrahim, primarily petroleum engineer and an active participant in youth programs here in Sudan. I am grateful to have participated and played a role in the in this trade agreements research and outreach. The comment I want to make is that during me trying to make youth aware of this trade agreement and the forms they have to fill, is that they are most
Abdallah Nasser, you are muted. Can you unmute yourself? All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have said that I'm grateful to have taken a role in the research agreement. And the point I want to the youth I have contacted, they have no idea about the 2063 goals and agenda. And almost 95% of them have not heard before about this trade agreement, let alone knowing the benefits. That's so especially those who live in IDP camps, primarily because I live in an IDP camp. they haven't heard about those things, and they are clueless about the youth programs that is organized by the African Union. And so my question is, what is your plan and strategy to achieve as much outreach as possible? Because after implementing this program, those clueless individuals and youth will not benefit from the advantages of this trade agreement because they haven't heard about it. Thank you.
Very interesting, Abdanasa Ibrahim, for your for bringing this to our attention, and thank you for reaching out and having that data and numbers that 95% haven't had, and they don't know the benefits, especially those from camps. If I got you well, the strategy we are doing is what we have started now. The continent is too big. It is too huge. And we are having regional consultation per rec. Like today, we're having the North and the Horn. We are having the East Africa. We are having the Central. We are having the ECOWAS. We are having Southern. So another way of reaching is we have our electronic survey questionnaires that are going on. And I think I will ask also the administrator to put them here. They are in 4 languages: French, Arabic, English, and Portuguese. But also, this study will also highlight the gaps that are there in this CFTA in relation to youth. And when we highlight the gaps, we give it to policymakers, the implementers, so that they can work on these gaps. Thank you so much. And I think you can also, we can get in touch with you to see how you got this data and how we can leverage on your network. Thank you. There was a question from Hassan Mohammed before Abdanasa Ibrahim came in, and it was about what are the strategies, the mechanism that are put in place to see that we raise certain use of substance in Africa. I think that was your question, Hassan Mohammed. How can we raise these young youth of Africa? And of great importance. And I think, how can we have these young entrepreneurs? Because CFTA is about export, is about trade. I think, guys, our panelists will respond to it. As we move on, as we have this interaction, raise your hand, ask your question, ask a panelist, ask the conveners. So, because this is an interaction, it's not a conference, it's not a workshop, it's an interaction. John, I don't know whether another panelist has come. I think, I don't know whether she's with us so that I can direct the question to her. Abdanasa Ibrahim, I still see your hand. Do you want to add something? Okay. John, has she come, the panelist?
Not yet. I'm still following up. If she can still join in.
All right. I see a hand from Gatien Girdas. Hopefully I haven't hopefully I haven't murdered your name. Please, Gatien.
Oui, merci de me donner encore la parole. Je m'excuse déjà pour les francophones, les anglophones, parce que je ne peux que bien m'exprimer en français. Donc, je ne sais pas si après ou comment faire passer le message en anglais. Je voudrais revenir sur deux préoccupations, notamment des intervenants précédents, concernant les stratégies ou encore la problématique mise en évidence sur le fait que les jeunes, jusqu'ici, n'ont pas encore bien cerné ou ne se sont pas encore bien approprié la question de la ZLECAf. Il faut dire, comme vous l'avez souligné, le continent non seulement est grand, mais aussi et surtout, il y a plusieurs limites que les jeunes eux-mêmes avaient déjà au préalable, que nous, jeunes, nous avions au préalable fondé. Entre autres, le fait que nous, jeunes, on ne s'intéresse que sur des choses qui sont concrètes. Et lorsque on regarde aujourd'hui l'architecture, la façon dont les négociations sur la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine se sont déroulées, elle a commencé par des consultations au plus haut niveau auprès des organes décisionnels, donc les chefs d'État qui pouvaient prendre les décisions pour donner soit une continuité ou mettre fin à cet idéal en fait commune. Et à ce niveau, les jeunes voyaient ça comme quelque chose qui devrait en fait ne pas aboutir. Et c'est seulement à un niveau où on est en train de parler de l'application même des avantages ou encore des effets de la ZLECAf sur le continent qu'on se pose maintenant la question de la contribution de la jeunesse. Donc, il ne faudrait pas dire que si les jeunes ne sont pas aujourd'hui impliqués dans ce qui se fait en matière de négociation ou en termes de réalisation dans la zone de libre-échange continentale, c'est parce qu'on les a oubliés. Non, mais parce qu'au départ, nous ne croyons pas à ça. On n'était pas intéressés à ça jusqu'à ce qu'on voie en ça quelque chose de concret. En matière de stratégie, au niveau de la Commission de l'Union africaine, il faut dire qu'on avait déjà entrepris d'organiser en 2020 le premier sommet de la ZLECAf sur la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine concernant les jeunes, intitulé le sommet de la ZLECAf, le sommet des jeunes sur la ZLECAf. Mais ce sommet n'a pas eu lieu. Pourquoi? Parce qu'on est rentré dans la phase de coronavirus qui a annulé pas mal d'activités ici, entre autres ce programme qui avait pour objectif de pouvoir inviter les jeunes avec un calibre assez conséquent pour discuter sur l'organisation à leur niveau, à notre niveau, dans ce qui se fait en termes de négociation dans la zone de libre-échange continentale. Ça n'a pas eu lieu, mais pour autant, nous sommes en train de mettre en place, à l'heure où je vous parle, une plateforme continentale dédiée exclusivement à la jeunesse, où chacun pourra interagir, intervenir, quelle que soit sa position régionale sur le continent et même hors du continent, parce qu'on s'est aussi intéressé à la jeunesse africaine qui se trouve du côté de la diaspora. Donc, voilà un peu les actions qui sont mises en place pour essayer de rattraper en fait le retard que nous accusions en tant que jeunes, mais aussi, comme je disais en introduction, au niveau du secrétariat même, on a mis une unité spéciale, autonome, dédiée aux femmes, aux jeunes dans le commerce intra-africain, mais aussi dans les stratégies de financement des petites et moyennes entreprises. Donc, il y a plein de solutions en fait qui sont en train d'être maintenant entreprises, qui sont en train d'être mises en place pour pouvoir donner aux jeunes l'opportunité non seulement de s'exprimer, mais de présenter des préoccupations qui sont les leurs dans leur région afin qu'elles puissent être prises en compte dans le processus de la ZLECA. Voilà ce que je voulais apporter en termes de précision à la suite des interventions.
Thank you. My language of not hearing something from French. When it is interpreted, I think it was also a submission. I have questions on the chat. Let me read, and it will, Engineer Ibrahim and Ahmed, you will respond to them. The first question, I am Benson Major. My questions are, what are some of the strategies that are in place to ensure inclusive participation of youth in CFTA? What are the socio-economic benefits that youth expect in this project? Over to you, Engineer Ibrahim and Ahmed. If you can go first, Engineer Ibrahim.
Okay, thank you, Moses. As I mentioned in my talk, that the youth or the young people, it's not optional. It is mandated to participate and engagement in the AfCFTA. And one of the very important factor in the agreement, it showed the women and youth, it should be engagement, because as you see in each country in Africa, the youth, it's the main pillar to make the country progress and successfully. Then the free trade area, it should be participate with the young people, and young people, it's the main pillar to succeed this agreement.
Thank you, Engineer Ibrahim. Ahmed, do you want to supplement on the strategies that are there for youth to engage, and what benefits does this agreement bring to youth?
Thank you very much, Moses. This is a good question, and this is it's good to understand how our youth will get benefit for a CFTA. First of all, I would like to say that the member states of the agreement should create a regulatory framework and policy strategies that will make useful for inclusive participation of all the stakeholders, including national and regional, including business community and the civil society. And I think this legal framework and policy strategies will create such inclusive participation for all. What are the social economic benefits for the youth? If you see, or if you look back to the statistics in Africa, we are facing a high unemployment rate. So I see the social economic benefit of our youth is to have a job creation for them, because if we implement CFTA, we will attract FDI, foreign direct investment, and this will create a job for our youth. Another thing, we will increase our inter-trade among us, among Africa. This also will create and increase our national household income. Another thing also I would like to say is, now we see that our youth are going to immigrate in Europe. they will have an opportunity to stay in Africa and to create their own business and to adapt to the technology. So I think I see a big economic benefit for youth if we implement the CFTA. If I go to the question from Ayman Ahmed, which was what makes AfCFTA different from the REX, Regional Economic Integration? Yes, I see this problem also, CFTA and REX. But if you go through the articles and the text of the agreement, you will get an Article 19 of the agreement, which allows for the overlapping membership of a particular kind, which says state parties that are member for other regional economic communities, regional trading arrangements, and custom union, which have attained among themselves higher levels of regional integration than under this agreement. It shall maintain such higher level among themselves. Yes, this will create overlapping regional integration and economic integration, but I see AfCFTA is beyond all. And the only hope that we have in Africa, our youth, is the AfCFTA. Thank you, Moses. Over to you.
Thank you, our panelists, for answering. There are more questions and keep bringing them. I also read another question. My name is Ayman Ahmed. While the benefits of REX for youth is debatable, owning how the agreements are structured and implemented, what makes CFTA different for you? Anyone who wants to chip in to reply that question, as panelists are coming in for this to respond to this question. Our poll question is on your screens, on your phones. Please, Moses, you can answer. Yes. Yes, Ahmed. What makes this CFTA different?
I think I have responded. Yeah, I think I have. Yeah.
Okay,
thank you. I think I have responded this question. Yeah, yeah. Before you came here, I don't know whether you heard or not.
You responded. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Hello.
Ayman, Ayman, I see your hand.
Yes, hello, thank you.
If you are not speaking, please mute your microphones. Ayman Ahmed.
Yeah, thanks. And thank you, Ahmed, for the response. However, my question is not on how AfCFTA and REX can coexist. My question is, we have already seen the performance of REX, the East African Community, the ECAS region. We've seen different REX that haven't really improved youth inclusion in these activities. So I want to know, if few countries cannot come together and make integration work, how would the AfCFTA help the youth? Because it's a much bigger agreement involving more countries. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you, Ayman. And me and you, Ahmed, know that this is the first agreement in the history of Africa that has attracted a political will, like presidents signing it like on day one, unlike other agreements. And it's an agreement leading Beatrice Gichohi. I appreciate this initiative to include youth in this agreement. I am working with the Youth Employment Initiative in Kenya, And from our research on the ground, our youth lack knowledge, support to market linkages, and just challenges of their small businesses do not scale. As we think of the benefits from the agreement, which is great, we have to intensify business mentorship and linkages for them too. Otherwise, this is a great job. Thank you, Beatrice. The way you wrote it, it is the way we extract it, and we put it as a recommendation. Thank you. Keep it coming. Keep on pull questions, and I'm about to ask towards the end our administrator to give us the results. This is a question, a comment from Prince. Prince, can you explain the effectiveness of compliance mechanism of CFTA? How do we ensure that collaboration of Africa youth among themselves, example Nigerians and Kenyans, use pattern for business growth and development? The combination of efforts can ensure effective participation. Prince Lekan Fadin. Thank you. Keep them coming. It's a recommendation. I think Prince, what is trying to say is how can we partner? How can we work together as youth? The best economies in Africa, how can they help the struggling economies? How can we, instead of having a farm as a one person, how can we come as a youth and form cooperatives and have a voice for negotiation? Thank you, everyone. I don't know whether my administrator is ready for 4 questions, or we can take like 2 questions and then we go for results. Anyone with keep coming, keep bringing them on chat, keep raising your hand. And I see Ibrahim Hassan Mohammed, you have your hand up. Do you want to say something before we go to your question?
Yes, of course. Yeah, yes, of course. Yeah, and thank you once again. I'm Ibrahim, as I told briefly, and but I didn't do a much introduction. I'm based in Somalia, and my nationality is Somalia, and it's very grateful that I participate on behalf of the youth in the continent to this consultation meeting, which is very much important. So, and my question, and based on just an elaboration, as we know that in African and youngest population, according to the world, are engaged at the highest in Africa in terms of the investment and economic race and social development factors in our continent in order to improve the development and index in African nationalists is a very low. I would like to ask, and is there a way that we can raise, and because of as we are counting the improvement of our youth and which are very popular than the other world. And my second question is that the youth chat in Africa, the implementation plan or empowerment of youth empowerment, all which are implementation are put in place and in a very far agenda. By the time you look at the AU agenda in 2063 and programs, then might be in terms of the accountability with the implementation on that agenda, which has been put in very far. And again, that the current leaders even might not be in place in 2063. So is there a mechanism and use another sub agenda that might be ending rather than from that 5 years, which youth can be accountable, and also the other upcoming youth should be reached the implementation of those new plans, which might even contributing to the current agenda that has already been put in place, which and it has started and ending in 2063. So as the focal and as a panelist, I would also like to ask them, is there an elaboration that we can have as a youth, a next plan, which contribute to the implementation of this current youth? So in terms of the youth decade plan action focuses on 5 priorities, and which has been already mentioned some more areas: education and skill development, which can be seen in the continent. By the time you look in every aspect of education and skill development level, people might not avoid in some areas. There are ways that the youth can have an instrument which can be established, an education and skill development centers, which even we contribute as youth in the continent to develop those strategies. In terms of the youth employment and entrepreneurship, which is very much important in Africa continent, is where the business and also transactions are being looked for. Is there a way that we can even utilize youth employment, entrepreneurship, and to develop the African youth in the context? So even we have youth growing in the future of governance and also leadership. We don't have even the capacity and that youth could build in a leadership, so that we might fear that even the current youth could change the current leaders that we have. Is there a mechanism even and which you can raise up, which we can raise a youth in leadership to make change in the Africa continent? Thank you very much. I make more questions, but I would like to see the answers, and I'm very much happy and to participate. And also I'm very participative in terms of such important meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ibrahim, for this patriotism that you have in your mind about can we have youth leadership that can change the current leadership that we have in Africa, and how can we be in these positions? I think as I invite our panelists to respond to you, I think some of the mechanisms are not like regional what. Most of them are national policies. Let's say that the policies to help the entrepreneurs, the young youth in businesses, the fundings, the capital. And then again, like if you talk about education, this agreement talks of mutual recognition. What does it mean? It means that if I am Moses here and I have a master's or a degree in trade policy, and I go to Egypt, I go to Algeria, it should be recognized. But let me quickly ask Ahmed and Engineer Ibrahim to quickly add a voice and of what Ibrahim is asking. Then again, I will have Mahad, Hashim, then again we go for poll question. Over to you, panelists. Ahmed, Mr. Ahmed. Engineer Ibrahim.
Yeah, hello, Moses.
Yes.
Mr. Ibrahim, it's have a great speech for and I think he asking a very good questions. As he mentioned that the young people should to train these young people. It should be in align with us in the agreement. Then I think if we have like a knowledge or like a standard for to be all of us in the same ground on the same and the same knowledge, I think we gonna to successfully agreement. And as well, this agreement will be have benefits for all countries that we engagement with this agreement. And as well, we should make like a marketing for this agreement, because if I am not known what is the things that I have, I will take a wrong decision. Then I think we should know about this agreement. We should engage the young people. We should have like a course, as Mr. Ahmed said before. All of these topics or factors that I mentioned, it's very important to add ons, and all of us encouraged to eliminate these barriers for the African countries.
Thank you, Engineer Ibrahim, and for highlighting and answering some of the questions. And Mr. Ahmed is having connectivity challenges, but once he's back, once the connectivity is clear, he will be with us. Let's have that Mahad Hashim has been raising his voice, and after his submission, then we will go for poll question, the results. I hope, Mahad Hashim, I have pronounced well your name. Apologies if I murdered it. The mic is yours. You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Mahad Hashim. I'm from Somalia. As a title, I am program officer of Benadir Youth Association. So I'm very happy to join this meeting today. I have only two questions. Since we know that in the world there is 48% they are youth. So they act the youth discrimination and marginalization for the institutions of national institutions, governmental organizations, and non-governmental organizations. So how the youth can get their rights based on a parliamentarian and other governmental institutions? That's my first. The next is there is a lot of youth that are immigrants from Africa going to abroad and such as Europe. So how the youth implement their own continent in Africa and to get their hosted minerals and other things. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Moses, do you hear us? Mr. John, I think the connectivity issue with Moses, so you could jump in to conclude. I could just show the poll results, and then one of the panelists could respond to the question that was posed. Mr. John?
Okay, so we move into, yes, Franklin. Thank you.
Thank you. Franklin, can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Okay.
so I can share the poll results?
Yes, Franklin, you can share with us the poll results so that we can see how the participants voted.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
you. So I believe you in a few moments you will be seeing the poll results. We appreciate it was actually 100% participation from the participants. We had 5 questions that were forming the poll. As you could see from the 5 questions, the first question was, have you heard about the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, the AfCFTA? And 87% of you, that is 20 out of the 23 participants who took part in the poll, answered yes. Only 3 said they have not heard of the AfCFTA. The second question is about the delivery or the medium through which you had the AfCFTA. So it was, how did you hear about it? And 9% have heard it through newspapers, 57% through social media platforms, in class 13%, television 9%, discussion with friends 22%, and other sources 30%. The third question, are you aware of the benefits this agreement brings if it is successfully implemented? So 65% say yes, 35% say no. The fourth question, have you ever been involved in any AfCFTA related activity? 30% have said yes, 70% said no. And the final question, would you say youth structures, groups, or organizations at national and regional levels were involved in AfCFTA related activity? Yes, 48%, no, 52%. So thank you so much. Over to Moses and John to conclude. Thank you. John?
Thank you, Franklin. I think we are losing Moses because of connection from the other side. But this really shows that the participants are interested on knowing more on the AfCFTA.
Thank you, Franklin.
Given the fact that we have experts here, young experts who are good in the field. Moses, are you in?
Yeah, can I be heard now? Am I heard?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Yes, sir. Yes.
We finished up the poll, the results.
Yes, I've seen.
Yes, we are moving to the next, to the concluding session.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Over to you.
I think before the conclusion, there was a question from our brother from Somalia. I don't know whether it was responded to. And for now, I don't know whether it was responded to, Mr. John.
It was responded by Engineer Ibrahim.
All right. As we conclude, I think let's give our panelists if we can thank them, if you can clap for them. I don't know how you clap by digitally. And I think we can give Engineer Ibrahim and Ahmed Wasim 2 minutes to conclude, concluding remarks. Engineer Ibrahim, your concluding remarks, sir. And even in your concluding remarks, you can conclude also in Arabic. Ahmed.
Thank you, Moses.
Ahmed, you can you can have your concluding remarks. like in 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much, Moses. Thank you, all of you, the participants also. I would like to conclude this session today. AfCFTA is our hope that we are all waiting to achieve the Agenda 2063. But I would like to say that the governments of the member states should provide a policy guidelines for all to enable meaningful participation of the agreement. For example, for our case, Somalia, I would like to share with you, the text of the agreement is written in English version, Arabic version, and Portuguese version. So we did translate the agreement from English version to local language, which is Somali language, with the aim to understand all people, the text of the agreement, each and every article. So we did also organize workshops and seminars and to have common understanding of the agreement and not to leave no one behind, especially the business community. That is the experience I would like to share with you. Last but not least, I would like to say, we need to achieve the goals of the African people in achieving sustainable development, but also the freedom of movement in factors of production, labor, and capital. We hope to achieve also complete economic unity, as in case of the European Union, and to reach a unified monetary system or monetary currency. To face a global challenges from the ambitions of countries and international communities or international companies that exploit the capabilities of African continent and contribute to expand the circle of poverty, terrorism, and economic, social, and political backwards. So I would like to thank you, all of you. That is my remarks. Thank you, John and Moses. Over to you, the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother Ahmed, and for your time. Let's hear from Mr. Gatien. Then we will end with Engineer Ibrahim. Gatien, your concluding remarks. Mr. Gatien.
Oui. Pour moi, en fait, c'est un plaisir de prendre part à ce genre de session, de rencontres, d'échanges interactifs, parce que ça nous permet de découvrir les préoccupations souvent qui ne sont pas exprimées par certains jeunes dans différentes régions, et aussi de mettre en évidence les problèmes qui apparaissent comme étant des barrières entre les jeunes déjà. Parce que en parlant de barrières, moi je mets tout de suite en évidence la barrière de la langue. C'est souvent difficile pour les jeunes de pouvoir réaliser les opportunités qui existent entre eux. Je fais allusion à ça, pourquoi? Parce que moi j'ai eu la chance d'être ici à la Commission de l'Union africaine et de pouvoir voyager dans le cadre des missions de négociation de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine et de rencontrer d'autres jeunes qui, en fait, n'avaient pour certains pas connaissance de la zone de libre-échange continentale ou qui n'avaient pas, en fait, cerné les enjeux que cela représente. Et en échangeant nos expériences, en échangeant, en fait, les opportunités qui existent dans nos différentes régions ou pays, ils se sont rendus compte qu'on pouvait avoir une collaboration qui pourrait se situer au-delà même de la relation jeune que nous avons, mais qui pourrait se transformer en relation de partenaires en affaires dans le cadre des micro-projets ou dans le cadre tout simplement d'une collaboration économique qui rejoindrait de facto la zone de libre-échange continentale dans son initiative de favoriser les échanges intra-africains. Donc, pour moi, je crois que cette initiative ne devrait pas être seulement limité dans le cadre de la conception d'un rapport, mais pour devrait s'inscrire dans un élan, on va dire, qui permettrait aux acteurs des différentes régions, autant pour moi, de pouvoir pérenniser ces actions pour cerner au fur et à mesure que nous serions en train de rendre la zone de libre-échange africaine effective sur le plan de l'application, tous les problèmes qui, en fait, font partie du sillage de la jeunesse dans leurs activités, aussi bien économiques, sociales, politiques et j'ai envie de dire communautaires. Donc voilà ce que je peux dire et j'espère simplement qu'il y aura encore des initiatives comme ça organisées par votre structure par la suite. Merci et je souhaite un bon week-end à tous. Thank you.
Merci, Gatian. Now, let's have concluding remarks from Engineer Ibrahim. And on your concluding remarks, you can even conclude in Arabic for the case of our Arabic audience. Engineer Ibrahim. Engineer Ibrahim. I think Engineer Ibrahim might be having connectivity issues. I think this time you can allow me to quickly I invite the summit director to give Engineer Ibrahim, you can give your concluding remarks and even in Arabic for the sake of our Arabic audience. Thank you. 2 minutes.
Okay, in Arabic or in English?
Arabic. For English, okay. You can mix 1 minute in English, 1 minute Arabic.
Okay.
Yeah, in Arabic, yeah.
Okay. We can take the opinion of attendants. Who will need to Arabic? If you need Arabic, please press in chatbot, write 1. English, write 2.
I think Arabic has 1.
Yeah, Arabic has 1. English, yes. 2.
Okay.
I will mix the marks and then I will repeat in English. Okay. خلينا اقول لكم حته انشاء منطقه للتجاره الحره القاريه الافريقيه من الحاجات اللي مهمه جدا في افريقيا، ويمكن دي بتعمل حاجه اسمها خلق لسوق موحده للسلع والخدمات اللي من خلالها بيقدر الاشخاص يتناولوا يتبادلوا او الدول كمان تتبادل السلع والخدمات، ويمكن دي بتيجي وفقا للرؤيه الافريقيه اللي هي افريقيا متكامله ومزدهره زي ما جت في الاجنده بتاع 2063. كمان الاهداف العامه اللي جت في الاتفاقيه دي كمان خلق سوق محرر للسلع والخدمات، وكمان من ضمن بقى دي الاهداف عامه للاجريمنت دي او للاتفاقيه دي. في شويه اهداف كمان محدده بقى، هي حوالي 5 أو 6 أهداف محددة، منها إن هو مفيش حواجز جمركية، مفيش تحرير بقى للتجارة والخدمات، زي في التعاون كمان والاستثمار وحقوق الملكية بين الدول، كمان مش بس تعاون تجاري بس، لا ده تعاون في كل المجالات ومتصل بالتجارة دي. من الحاجات المهمة جدا اللي برضو الاتفاقية دي نصت عليها إن الشباب ودور الشباب في الاتفاقية دي. أنا وجهة نظري البسيطة إن من غير الشباب في أي عمل إحنا بنعمله الموضوع مش هينجح بالطريقة الكاملة. طبعا ده لا مش هيخلينا نستغنى عن الناس الإكسبرت والناس الخبرة، بس احنا زي ما انا قلت في السبيتش بتاعتي ان افريقيا من اكبر القارات في العالم اللي فيها شباب، فده يمكن من الحاجات المهمة جدا اللي تخلينا يبقى فيه اهتمام بالشباب، ازاي نعلمهم، ازاي يبقى فيه انتجريشن. ويمكن خليني اقول لكم بالمناسبة دي، احنا في مصر في برنامج ويمكن معظمكم مش عارف عارفين ولا لا، حاجة اسمها ABLP. ABLP ده الافريكان، ده بروجرام عاملاه الأكاديمية الوطنية عندنا في مصر. هكتب انا الويب يعني اللينك بتاعه دلوقتي. ده بروجرام لكل الشباب الافريقي اللي نقدر يجي مصر، او طبعا عشان كورونا اتعمل منها 3 باتش او 4 باتش لغايه دلوقتي. بياخدوا الشباب الافريقي دي، بنجيب الشباب الافريقي من كل دول افريقيا بيدرسوا ويتعلموا ويشوفوا استثمار وازاي القاره الافريقيه يتم استثمار فيها وازاي تزدهر وحاجات كده. ده بروجرام مقدم برعايه يعني رئيس الجمهوريه في مصر بالأكاديمية الوطنية دي، الأكاديمية اللي بتدرب الشباب ومعتمدة في مصر. دي حاجة زي الإينا كده في فرنسا. فدي من الحاجات الكويسة جدا، إن لازم إن إحنا نشجع وننشر العلم والتريننج ما بين اليونج بيبل علشان نقدر نستثمر فيه. ده يعني دي السبيتش بتاعتي موسيس. I don't know if you understand Arabic or not.
I am getting interests in Arabic now. I will run it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Engineer Ibrahim. Thank you, Ahmed, for being our panelists. Thank you, the audience. Thank you, the youth. Thank you for the feedback. We promise that whatever you've given us as a feedback, we will make sure it reaches the intended experts and groups that work on this FTA. In 2 minutes, I would love to call the director, ULEAD, Ivan, to give a vote of thanks in 2 minutes.
Moses, Ivan has stepped out a little bit, so I think you can wrap it up on your side.
If Ivan has stepped out, I will invite Stella Agara to give a vote of thanks in 2 minutes on behalf of ULEAD director.
Moses, I didn't have a warning about this, but let me see how best I can carry out the task you have requested me to carry out. I think first of all, I would like to really appreciate the panel that you invited for all the contributions they have made, and especially for taking their time to answer every question that has come up from the audience. I would also like to appreciate the audience for their contribution. Special recognition to Ayman, who I think is the only lady I have heard from in this conversation. I think it's extremely important that we make sure that we get as many young voices into this conversation, and it doesn't end here. Moving forward, I think we should ensure that we continue with the chat in our social media platforms. You're all welcome to follow the ULEAD AfCFTA social media platform. Franklin is going to type the handle on the chat so that you can all go and visit and continue with the conversation there. I also encourage you to continue asking questions so that the different actors know what to do as far as trying to reach out to the youth is concerned. I mean, even for us ourselves, we have taken note of the feedback that you have given to the poll, and we shall be re-strategizing on many of our information dissemination platforms, and even the design or packaging of information based on the recommendations that you have made. So sincere appreciations to all the speakers and to the audience for making this a very vibrant conversation. Appreciations to the ULEAD team that has been supporting this process. We highly appreciate the effort you're putting in even on a Saturday to make sure that this is happening. I must send a special appreciation to our partners from our main partner, in terms of implementation from the ESC, the East Africa Community Youth Ambassadors Platform, who we work with in thinking through these programs and designing them, and in even implementation of the same. They are represented here by Sebastian Ivan. We appreciate all the work that you're putting in to contribute to our work. We also note that they're also represented here by Kamala Dixon, who's supporting us with social media. It's good to have you as a partner, and especially encouraging when you get all the support we get from you. Again, a special appreciation to John Johannes. I mean, this meeting would not be happening without you, your mobilization, your support, even the moderation you have engaged in today. We really appreciate the effort you've put into this meeting together and for accepting to organize a meeting even on a Saturday. We do not take your contribution for granted. Especially coming from me, this week you have demonstrated to us that you're a very valuable partner to ULEAD, and we are not taking any of your contribution for granted. We will continue to ensure that then we grow these partnerships so that we can take Africa and grow the youth of this continent together. Thank you so much for all your input. In case there's anybody I have not acknowledged for their contribution to this conversation, it is not because you did not make any valuable contribution. It is because I came into this conversation not having prepared to give the vote of thanks, and therefore I may have escaped your name. But for everyone who has made a contribution, may God bless you. May He shine His face upon you, and may He reward you for everything that you have done today. Have a lovely weekend. And with that, I will hand over back to Moses.
Thank you, Stella, for always being prepared even on a short notice. Thank you for the remarks, a vote of thanks. And notes you lead, and the organizers of this, you can stay on this call for a debrief. Others, thank you for being here for 2 hours with us and for your feedback. Franklin, you can help with the video as our friends and colleagues exit the chat. Bye. Franklin, if you have a video.
Africa is the second largest continent in the world, with a total of 55 countries, some of them in the world. Africa trades more with the rest of the world than with itself. Why is that? There are several reasons for this. Those who want to trade within Africa must overcome many difficulties: long waiting times at the borders, a lack of or poor transport routes, partly opaque bureaucracy or time-consuming export regulations. This increases the costs and makes trade on the continent unattractive. These hurdles are particularly difficult to overcome for retail traders. But there is a dream. Many institutions and partners have been working to create a common market since the 1960s. This is intended to unite the continent and lead to greater prosperity in the various African countries. The African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, marks an important step towards realizing this dream. The trade ministers of the African Union started negotiations at the end of 2015. After nearly 3.5 years, the Free Trade Area officially entered into force on May 30th, 2019, with more than 22 ratifications. A significant historical and diplomatic success, as well as a major step towards a united and economically strong Africa. The AfCFTA has the potential to quadruple intra-African trade. The framework conditions for trade, investment, and employment in Africa are thus now being created in several phases. The German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development has been supporting the African Free Trade Area since 2016 via the Gesellschaft für internationale Zusammenarbeit, GIZ. The GIZ will continue to support negotiations in the future with a view to advancing the African initiative for a modern and ambitious partnership agreement.
Moses, over to you. Moses, I think we can start. Hey, Moses has gone.
How can he be gone? Let me ask him to come back. Oh, he's asking who removed him.
Hey, he was removed.
Oh my God. I don't even be able to log in again after you remove him.
Oh, yeah.
Can we address?
Can you address what?
Address the streaming matter, please.
Can you address our?
A streaming issue. Can we get off the live stream?